Have you ever wondered how professional photographers are able to get these photographs with really close and exaggerated foregrounds that are also completely sharp and in focus from the front to the back? And then maybe you try doing this, so you get your camera really close to a foreground, but then you focus and the background is completely blurry. And then so you focus on the background, but the foreground is suddenly blurry. Well, don't worry. This is done through a technique called focus stacking. And essentially what this is where you take a bunch of different photographs of the exact same scene with different focal points along the way, and then combine them together to create an image that is completely tack sharp and focused from the front to the back. It sounds a little bit complicated, but I promise it's super easy. And in this video, I'm going to cover exactly how to focus stack. I'm going to cover when you need to focus stack. I'm going to cover what settings you need to focus stack. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to put these images together into a focus stack using a specialized program. Because spoiler alert, no matter what other photographers or other YouTubers say, Photoshop is not the answer, and it is not the industry standard for creating focus stacked images. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. This is everything you need to know about focus stacking. So the first thing we're going to be covering is when you should focus stack, because a lot of people really get this wrong, and when you should focus stack entirely depends on the focal length you're shooting with and how close to the foreground your subject is. So for instance, if you're shooting with a wide angle lens, you're going to have a greater depth of field, meaning you can get closer to your subject. Versus if you're shooting with a telephoto lens or telephoto focal length, you're going to have a very small depth of field, meaning if you want everything in focus, you are very likely going to have to focus stack just about everything when you're shooting with a telephoto lens. So for instance, if I am shooting with this ultra wide 10 millimeter lens here, the focal length is ridiculous. I can get to about 1.5 feet from the closest point in my image before I know that I need to focus stack. Conversely, if I'm shooting with this telephoto lens here, I'm going to have to be like 50 feet away from the foreground if I want everything in one shot. Anything closer than that, I'm definitely going to have to focus stack. I see a lot of photographers out in the field and on workshops, and they get to a location and they set up the tripod and they are at completely standing height with a relatively wide angle lens, and then they're talking about focus stacking. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need to do that. Even if you're shooting at f2.8, if you're at like standing height on a tripod, everything is more or less going to be in focus in the first place. You don't need to waste time focus stacking. Really, the only time you need to focus stack is when you're getting these really close-up compositions where the camera is very physically close to something in the immediate foreground. Now, sensor size also plays a really important role in determining whether or not you need to focus stack an image. So for instance, in this video, so far I've been talking about full frame cameras or full frame sensor sizes. But if you're shooting with a medium format sensor or a medium format camera, your depth of field, even on a wide angle lens, is going to be much smaller, meaning you're going to have to get a little bit further back in order to get everything in focus without focus stacking. Or you're going to have to start focus stacking earlier than you would if you're shooting with a full frame camera. And conversely, if you're shooting with a crop sensor or an APS-C or even a micro four thirds, your depth of field becomes much greater with the same focal length, meaning that you can get much closer to your foregrounds before you have to start thinking about focus stacking your images. Okay, so now that we've covered the when you need to focus stack, now we can talk about the settings and technique for focus stacking. Let's talk about settings first. The biggest variable in the settings on your camera when you're focus stacking is going to be your aperture. The larger your aperture, the more images you're going to need to complete a focus stack. Whereas the smaller your aperture, or the more stopped down you are, the less images you're going to need to create that focus stack, because your depth of field is greater when you are stopped down more. So for instance, if you were shooting a scene where shutter speed isn't a problem and there's no wind and nothing in your frame is moving, you can use, or you should be using, your lens's sweet spot, or the sharpest aperture on your lens, which if you're using a wide angle lens is probably going to be between like f5.6 and f9, whereas if you're using a telephoto lens, this might be f10 all the way up to f13. Let's say you're shooting a scene though that does have some movement in it and wind is a factor. For instance, like flowers or tree branches or something like that. In these instances, you would not want to use your lens's sweet spot because that is going to give you a slightly lower depth of field, and you want to capture as much of the scene as you can in each shot to ensure that the wind is not adjusting things or not moving things around too much between each photo of the focus stack. Technically, yes, f16 is going to be less sharp than f5.6 because of diffraction. However, if you're shooting at f5.6 and these images are moving in between each shot, you're more than likely going to have images that don't quite line up in the focus stack when you try to put this together. Versus if you're shooting at f16 or even f18, maybe these flowers can be photographed in just a couple of shots, meaning that you have a much higher chance for a successful focus stack. Now, another really important part to remember about focus stacking is something called focus breathing, which it sounds a little bit funny, but it's actually pretty easy to understand. So for instance, if you're at a scene and you are using your wide angle lens and you're focused on the far foreground of your image, or you're focused on the closest point in your image, the focal length of your lens is actually going to change slightly. It's actually going to give you a little bit wider of a view compared to focusing on the far background of your image. The focal length is slightly going to change as you focus from the foreground to the background. And what that means, or the consequence of that for focus stacking, is that you're going to lose a small bit around the edge of your frame. Usually somewhere around 2 to 4% of your frame is going to be lost, meaning that you just have to be a little bit more conscious not to put important elements near the edge of your composition. Now, most cameras today offer built-in focus stacking into the camera software. And while this doesn't assemble the focus stacked images, this does automate the process, making it so much easier for you to complete the focus stack. Nikon calls this focus shift shooting. Canon and Sony and Fuji call this focus bracketing, and Olympus just calls it focus stacking. Regardless of what the camera company calls it, in all of the menus, you'll see a step width and a number of shots. I found a step width of 4 is perfect for most scenarios, and I like to set my shots to 50. Now, in most cases, it's not actually going to take all 50 shots. It is simply going to take as many shots as it thinks it needs to focus from the foreground to the background. From here, you'll focus on the closest point in your image and then start the focus stacking process. Okay, so you've got your focus stacked scene, and now you want to assemble or combine all of these images together. Well, unfortunately, you cannot do this in Adobe Photoshop, or you should not be doing this in Adobe Photoshop. Yes, technically it is possible, and Photoshop does have a focus stacking system or feature built into it, but this is not what professionals use. This is not the industry standard. Unfortunately, it just does not do a good job. The program you're going to want to use is called Helicon Focus, and it is specifically designed for focus stacking. No, this is not sponsored. I don't get paid by them. There's no commission or kickback for this video. However, it is the industry standard. It's unfortunately a little bit expensive. However, thankfully they do not have a subscription model, so it is a pay once situation. Here we are in Adobe Lightroom, and as you can see, I have all of the images of this focus stack loaded up. And if we look on the first one, we can see of course, this foreground is in focus. And as I cycle through all the way to the end, the background of the last image is in focus. Now, what you're going to want to do is do the bulk of the edits, or the bulk of your editing, in Lightroom or Camera Raw. And that is because once you export these and create the focus stack, it is going to convert it to a TIFF file. Now, the next step is to sync across your edits for this first image to the last image. So I'm going to click on the first one, hold down Shift, and then go down here to the bottom right and sync the settings. We're going to make sure we click on Check All and Synchronize. From here, we're going to go up to File, Export with Preset, and then over to Helicon Focus TIFF. You're going to see above that, it says Helicon Focus DNG. I don't recommend doing this, and the reason not is because 1, you need to download an extra plugin, and then 2, when you are editing a DNG, it's going to be very, very dark, and you are not going to be able to see if you need to further refine anything or further refine parts of the image that didn't exactly stack well. So that is why we need to use Helicon Focus TIFF. So I'm going to click on that, and then it is going to open the Helicon Focus software. Now here we are in Helicon Focus, and at first it looks a little bit complicated, but as a landscape photographers, we can actually ignore a bunch of these things because we're just simply not going to use them. Any of these things up top, we can completely ignore that. Over here, we have rendering. This is where we're going to render the images. We have retouching. This is where we're going to retouch our images if it needs it. And then text and scale, you completely don't worry about that. And then finally, saving. This is just where we save our images. So we only use rendering and retouching and saving. Over here on the right-hand side, you can see it has our source images. Up top is going to be the last image of the focus stack. And then down here at the bottom is going to have the first image of the focus stack. And somewhat similar to Photoshop, this works with layers. We can see over here on the right-hand side, we can just click on the bottom and then kind of cycle through any of these things where we click. It's going to load that into this preview here. Now, all of these are selected. We can see that with a checkbox. And then below this, it has rendering method. And it starts off with method A, method B, and method C, and then smoothing down here at the bottom. Now, rendering method A and B, these are only for macro photography. You do not have to worry about them if you're doing a landscape. The only thing we're going to be using is method C and a smoothing of 3. So just remember, Helicon Focus, method C, smoothing 3. So we're going to go ahead and click on render, and it'll take a second, and you're going to see it's going to build a depth map for us. You can see how it is cycling through each of these layers and figuring out what is in focus. And once the render is done, we can then go over to retouching. And from here, we can go ahead and zoom in. And on our right-hand side, this is the image that is the final rendered result. And on the left is the image that we want to retouch from. Right now, I'm just looking just to see if there is any mistake or if there's anything that does need retouching. So far, it looks pretty good. I don't see anything that's a huge error. It looks like a really, really nice and clean focus stack. I can see up here, there's a little bit of this in the background with this Spanish moss up here that kind of was moving in between each shot. And so the way this works, it's super easy. I just cycle through and try to find the image on the left-hand side that corresponds with what I want to brush over here. So I'm just gonna cycle through these, gonna go down here and say that's too far. I just want to find this one with the Spanish moss in focus, and just like that. And then I'm going to just brush in on the right-hand side. And so I can make this, this brush size bigger and smaller with the left and right bracket key. And I can just brush that in just like so. Make sure it is nice and smooth in between all of these images. And I can see this one over here also needs a little bit smoothing out. Now it's not going to be 100% perfect just because it's going to take a little bit too long to go in here with a really, really tiny brush. This is more of just an example of how the program works. And I can see a little bit back here. You go in and again, keep on finding those little bits, you know, that need to be cleaned up with this focus stack. So just like so, and I can go in and say, you know what, for the most part, this looks pretty good. These edges are really nice and clean. It will take just a minute or two to go in and correct any parts of the image that need retouching. But once we are finished, we can go ahead and click save, and then we can rename this whatever we want to, and it is going to save this as a TIFF back into Lightroom. And just to show you how much worse of a job Photoshop does at this and why you need to use Helicon Focus is because I've already done this in Photoshop. Let's take a look at that. And at first glance, it looks okay, looks nice. But if I zoom in here, you can start to see sections, big parts of the image that are completely out of focus, where this focus stacking just did not work. If I start moving over the left-hand side, look at this, the edge of this tree all over here, all around the edge of the frame. It just does not do a good job. And we can compare that. I created a depth map with this here we can compare the depth map of Photoshop with the one in Helicon Focus, and it is night and day. The Photoshop depth map just has almost no detail. It's almost completely guessing with a lot of this stuff. The edges of this is just huge. It's sometimes like 10 pixels wide in each case, compared to the single pixel level of Helicon Focus. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything you need to know about focus stacking. If you'd like to learn more from me in person and practice doing some focus stacks out in the field, consider joining me on a photography adventure or workshop by heading over to my website, warnerwildernessphotography.com. I've got trips all over the Southwest, up in Alaska and beyond. Truly, a huge thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.